The Legion Go is 3 months old. Time freaking flies, and there's not much we can do about that except live our lives. I've been living with this Legion Go for these 3 months, and I've probably put 800 to 900 hours on this thing. It is my baby. It's my daily driver. I'm using it for every single game that I play most of the time. You know, I'll switch between Steam Deck and things like that. And there's been some ups and downs in our relationship. So we'll start with good, then we'll do bad, good, bad, good, bad. So the first awesome freaking, I love this. This is probably the reason you might look into one. The display. This display is priceless. I love it. Number one, it's giant. Okay, this thing ain't playing around. It's a tank. And, you know, the whole purpose for me, at least when playing video games, I'm sure it's the same for you. It's you want to get away from reality. Who doesn't want to get lost in the world of Skyrim? This screen will help you achieve that more so than the other handhelds. And that is really, really cool. The way I see it is it's kind of like a home theater. You know, you're looking pretty close at it. You don't have to be super close because the screen's big enough as it is. You're getting that full experience. The resolution, this is an interesting one. The resolution's incredible, right? We love that. However, I don't find myself ever putting my Legion Go in that resolution. You know, you start losing a ton of performance in the games that you play. If you're into older games, then have at it. It's your playground. But for me, you know, with these AAA games, I'm pretty limited. And so I got to jack it down to 800p, but I have no problem with that. You know, 800p is the same resolution as the Steamdeck Oled. However, you can't see the pixels on this screen. So it looks much more sharp than what you may know with the Steam Deck and the Steamdeck Oled. And then we also have the help of AMD FSR and upscaling and things like that. It'll upscale the game to look far more crisp than it actually is. And again, you know, that to me is perfect. I don't feel the need to go any higher than 800p when I'm playing AAA games. Even competitively, if things get tense in the finals, I still don't need to jack it up. I have no problem. It's a great resolution, even at its lowest. And then the refresh rate, it's 144 Hertz. I never get up that far. I really don't. One day we will, but when you play older arcade games and things like that, you're gonna love it. And if you're going through Windows, you're installing mods, or you're going on YouTube, you're gonna love that. When you're playing games, it kind of bites you a little bit. I'll tell you why. And that's because it doesn't have a variable refresh rate. So you're gonna notice frame drops. You're gonna notice stutters. You're gonna notice a lot of like performance fluctuation in the games that you play, more so than I do with the Rog Ally or Steam Deck. And so you can bump it down to 60, but then you lose that potential of hitting 70. So it's a kind of little weird medium, but I still enjoy it. I don't have a problem leaving it at 144 Hertz. The colors, oh, they pop out. What I recommend you do is you go into the AMD Adrenaline app and just swipe up that saturation, and it makes it pop like a Samsung TV, you know what I mean? So that's always fun. There's not much I can say about the brightness because I'm not out and about at a construction site playing on my Legion Go. I just kind of play it on my bed. And it's bright enough, let me tell you. I'll tell you one thing, the speakers are not good. I hate to be blunt, but this is probably one of the biggest downfalls with having a Legion Go is the speaker quality. If you've played on a Steam Deck, if you've played on a Rog Ally, their audio is on point. It's good enough to where you can enjoy the game and not have to worry about sound. You're not like aware of the sound quality because it's doing the job, right? However, with the Legion Go speakers, it sounds like it's coming from a Tamagotchi. I hate to say that, but the low ends, you can't hear them. There's no low ends. The mids and the highs are muffled. And then the highs kind of have like these little frequency peaks where it'll kind of pierce your ears if you're sensitive. And it's just kind of a mess. And I've tried to do the EQ thing, you know, and that only helps just a small amount. Another odd thing is that the speakers face upwards and they shoot up in the air, and that's actually away from you because you play it at an angle, right? And it's nothing like the Rog Ally. The Rog Ally is facing you, and it kind of like finds a way to go around your ears. And it's immersive. the Legion Go just shoots away from you. So I always end up putting on headphones. These are my go-to headphones, in case you're wondering. They're affordable and they're freaking awesome. The soundstage on them is great. So like, you can hear people running behind you, know exactly where they are. However, for as bad as the speakers are, the performance makes up for it. I'm telling you, any game that you want to play on the Legion Go, you're able to handle it like a champ. This thing is a sports car, as I like to call it. This thing is ready to go in freaking drag race. This thing is on par with the Rog Ally. I'd say the Rog Ally has a little bit more better performance, but I think that has to do with support from Asus, and I'll get to that at the end. But this thing will not hold you back. I play the finals. It's a very heavy-hitting game. I play the finals at 70 frames per second. Assassin's Creed, I'll drag up the graphics to ultra, and I'm playing at 1200p, and I'm getting a good 40 frames per second, and it looks crisp as butter. At least for RPGs, I'd assume it's the same for you. You might want to drag up the graphics and settle with 30 frames per second. You're able to put the graphics on the ultra on most games and have an incredible experience, especially with the help again with AMD FSR. We're blessed to have that. It has been a savior. And Cyberpunk on this thing is such an experience because you're truly there. I'm telling you, you feel like you're there. It is beautiful to play, and it's smooth, it's responsive, it's great. I will say I've been hooked on Enshrouded. Enshrouded's taken so many hours away from my life, but I will tell you, with Palworld and Enshrouded, I've been running into performance issues, and that has to do with game compatibility and optimization from the developers. You're gonna run into that, but most people will, regardless of what they're using. However, when you do have optimization issues, it kind of will hit you in the face. It kind of rubs into your face. You're hitting those low 20s. But then again, that's not our fault, and that stuff can be fixed in regards to patches and updates and things like that. Now, for as amazing as this performance is, right, it's a sports car. I mention this a lot. High-end sports cars require more maintenance. You know, they're not the best economic cars, okay? And so this handheld has a lot of glitches and problems. I'm just here to warn you, if you're coming from a console, you're coming from a Steam Deck, Nintendo Switch, things like that, just understand that you gotta know how computers work in order to fluently maneuver through this device. You know, drivers are a pain in the butt to install, and you gotta look up YouTube tutorials on that. You're gonna run into a lot of issues. For me, you know, I'll turn it, you know, it won't go to sleep. And if it does go to sleep, it turns on in the middle of the night and runs its battery out to 0. You'll get frame stutters, you'll get speakers popping, you'll get resolution issues, full screen doesn't work, and games keep crashing. You're gonna run into a lot of Windows issues. So just be expected and be prepared to basically learn a little bit about how computers work. And if you're coming from gaming PCs and things like that, you know how it goes, right? You know how it goes and you're good. But I wish the world could know that if you buy a Windows handheld, expect to learn how to repair a flat tire by yourself, right? That kind of stuff. Now, something that's very important with these handhelds is software, right? You know, software is really, you want a good, easy, clean software. Rog Ally has their Armory crate, and Armory crates can fine-tune pretty well. I'll make a Rog Ally video after this one. But Legion Space, I don't use it. I think a lot of people don't use it. It has a lot of issues. One is like latency. You know, I'll press a button to open up my resolution settings and things like that, and it'll take a good 5 or 8 seconds to boot up. And then, you know, you can click on library and open up a game, but what happens is you need to open up the Xbox app, and you have to click play on the Xbox app, and there's a lot of steps that you need to do in order just to play a game. Unless it's on your desktop and you just double click it, you're just not going to have that smooth, easy console-like experience. I've had some of you guys in the comments have been saying to download Play Night, things like that, and I've done so. And I enjoy that, and it does make the experience so much easier, but it's still kind of problematic. There have been some updates, and you know, Lenovo's onto this, but but they're kind of slow with it, if I'm being honest. It's very rare that we get these updates, and when they do update, there's only like 3 things that have been fixed, and there's a lot of things that are unfinished. And it just does it, if I'm being honest, it just feels pretty messy. Another very important thing to talk about is build quality. These are handhelds. You take them to different places, so you want to make sure they can, you know, they're gonna be dropped, they're gonna hit a couple things here and there. That's just normal, that's part of it. So you want something that you know will keep up with you, right? Now, I know people, for some reason, comments, people get mad at me for this, but you know, I'm not gentle with my devices. Most of the things I own are broken. I can't help it. It's my money, right? This has kept up with me. I've been on maybe 5 or 6 flights with it. I just pop it out. I've dropped it 1 or 2 times. You know, I've got my rings that tend to scratch on the sides of the controllers, and I've seen no signs of wear and tear. This thing is handled. These controllers, they wobble, but they don't wobble problematically. It's something to worry about. The body of this device is stable. There's nothing to worry about. It's built like a tank, you know, it's durable. And what's crazy is with the screen so big, you'd think there'd be scratches on it, but I've come across nothing yet. I can't see any problems on the screen. I will say there's a bit of stick drift. I hate to say that, but it's true. And granted, I've dragged down the dead zone to quite a low amount, but you know, once I start hitting, I think it was like 5 or something, I started noticing stick drift, which most conventional controllers should be at around 3 to 2 where you notice stick drift. Now, here's something that we really need to talk about here, and that is the battery. I'm telling you, if you're looking to be portable and mobile with this thing, I've got some bad news for you. This battery, it'll do the job. It'll last you an hour, 30 minutes maybe, but I would not get this if you plan on being extremely portable with it. Personally, I never play games on this thing when it's not plugged in. And to some of you guys, this might not matter, and like an hour and a half is good enough for you, but for me, I run into this brain problem where I start to stress out. I feel like I have a very limited time to enjoy my game, and when it feels so limited, it's like a 30-minute lunch break. You can only go so far, right? You can only go to the Chipotle across the street. You can't go drive to a cool restaurant that you like that's like 10 minutes away. So you don't feel like you can fully get invested in the game that you're playing because you know you're going to get that 20% popping up very, very soon. That ruins the experience for me. It's less, I can't get so invested in it, right? That's why it's such a huge problem. But if you can hyper-focus for an hour and a half and then completely jump out and have no repercussions of that, maybe you don't have ADHD, then this could be great for you, but it's very hard for me. I mean, a great example is the battery saver just turned on, and I've had it unplugged since I've been recording this video, and we're at like 10 minutes, and I was at 50%. So now in regards to portability, how mobile has this thing been? I'll be honest here, this is not my go-to for portability. It's a tank, and it tends to stay in my room on my shelf, and I only play it before I go to bed or when I'm bored. And when I'm playing it, I'm always on my bed. So it doesn't really go with me anywhere, kind of like a desktop if I'm being honest here. I'll go over to visit my family or go somewhere, and I'll bring it with me, but I always have to bring the charger, and I have to bring the case, and that is so big, you know, it takes up like 40 or 50% of your backpack, depending on the backpack that you use. It is kind of somewhat of a hassle. In fact, a giant laptop is more portable, in my opinion, than this, which is kind of interesting. Here's something that's extremely important in regards to longevity of having this handheld, and that is you want support from Lenovo. And so the question is, in these 3 months, what has Lenovo done in regards to updates and fixing issues? Because it's had a rusty launch. And I hate to say this, but I don't think Lenovo's really done much. They've given us some BIOS updates, which have really helped. They've updated Legion Space. But again, even now, when I pick up my Rog Ally, my Rog Ally feels very, very well, very fine-tuned. It kind of knows how this ball game goes, and it's learned really well how to avoid a lot of these issues that you may get on a Windows. And Asus is on point with their updates, and they're giving it their all, and you feel like you're surrounded by support. This, on the other hand, if I'm being honest here, we're getting updates and it's working and I love it and it's cool, but they're not big enough updates, and there's still so many things that we really want, like gyro, or I mean little things like that, you know, this little performance thing. I just kind of feel a little stranded, if I'm being honest. Now, the question is, should you buy one of these? You've got new handhelds coming into the market, and you've got options. We're blessed to have options now in this industry. Well, let me ask you, what type of games do you play? Where do you play most of the time? Do you like to go to work, and are you comfortable? Are you in a comfortable sitting at work where you can plug in an outlet and relax? How often do you travel? This is a lot like a Windows laptop. The Steam Deck is a lot like a MacBook Pro. What I mean by that is, to get the best performance, the best, you know, good battery, things like that, you need to have it plugged in. Whereas a MacBook Pro, plugged in or unplugged, you're going to have the same performance, and the battery is just to die for. It's got your back for like 6 hours. It's reliable, and you can take it with you without a charger. This is different. You kind of got to pack your bags a little bit. So if you travel a lot and you want to play this thing on the go, you might be better off with a Steam Deck. And you might even be better off with this MSI Claw coming out because of its AI-based Intel power consumption things that they so far claim they have. With all the competition, the Rog Ally, Steam Deck, Legion Go, MSI Claw, and things like that, this is definitely the one that sits on the side of your bed or sits on your couch plugged in. It's not as portable as the Steam Deck. It's not as mobile as the Rog Ally. It is kind of a home base sitter. And that's how I see it, to each their own. But if you're playing AAA games, heavy hitter games, you're excited for future releases like Dragon's Dogma 2. I know I'm stoked for that one. This is your go-to because it's going to handle it like a champ, and you're going to have that great screen to get immersed into it. Yeah, if you're curious with the Steam Deck, I made another video and you can see that. And then I'm making the Rog Ally one right after this. Listen, I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. If this is your thing, it's your thing, you know. Just tell me what I can do to make my videos better. I want to get really good at this stuff. Anyways, Cyber Dopamine out.